Time they go.
Yeah.
Woman time they go. Which time you want they born? And then for the men too, when they flip it to the men, they say things like, time they go, you still they do fine boy. Which time you want they marry? Which time you go take born the children, make you come begin train them
Or they tell you that you want to be using your passion
to train children.
train
So
children.
someone cracked a joke with me one day and said, this same family or this same society are the saying, oh boy, time they go, sister, time they go, time they
They will
go.
not be
When you now give birth to the
they will
kids,
not
they will
contribute
not contribute money and buy you pampers.
anything.
They will not contribute money and buy you nan or any of the expensive baby food.
We see people get married at 50. We see people who get married at 55. We get married, So it all depends. And that's why I say that it's individualistic. I have a friend who got married way late and he had a particular kind of marriage he always wanted to have.
It has been proven that people who are matured and who get to a certain age before they get married, they are more matured in terms of handling life's vicissitude within the marriage sector. Because no matter who you marry, there will be disagreement. Some at younger age, I'm going back to my mom, I'm going back to my daddy. It's also a age there.
Welcome to Difficult Conversation Africa broadcast, a pioneering platform which attempts to raise, discuss issues many are afraid to face. I present to you the host, Yinka Olaito, a media communications development expert, author with about 2 decades experience in Africa and in the United States.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is another opportunity for us to import a difficult conversation podcast Africa. I hope that we all enjoyed the last edition. It is online for you to go and check. In today's episode, we're looking at marriage, and it's not every marriage. We're not looking at marriage at large. We're only looking at when is marriage considered to be late. We know that marriage is actually it's more like a communal issue in Africa and Nigeria, unlike in Western environment where marriage is just a decision between one or two people. They make their decision and they go out. But in Nigeria and Africa, it's a different ballgame. It's like a family affair. And so when at a point you are supposed to be married, the society in Nigeria and Africa has a way of telling you that you are already ripe for marriage or that you should be married. Meanwhile, the purpose of marriage is for communion, for companionship. And until you find the right person, you shouldn't be under any compulsion to get married. Given today also that there are a lot of things that are changing. Ladies want to really have quality education and bring something to the table when they get married. Men also want to have something to show for their life before they get married. And in most cases, particularly within Nigeria or Africa, we find out that sometime before you finish school, particularly with the level of strikes here and there, except you are privileged to go to a private university, before you finish, you're already 25, 26, 27, sometimes you're very close to 30. And at that time, the society is putting pressure on you. So today we're actually looking at when is marriage actually becoming too late? Fortunately, I have two of my guests here. Ladies first, I will introduce her first because that's what they say. I have with me Kome Odude. Kome Odude is a lawyer and is an HR practitioner. She's married and I know her very well. And sometimes we had discussion because when you're about 30 for a lady, they say you are already late. Why is that? She will be talking about the fact that if you're a professional lady, you don't need to be under pressure. And then I have with me Dr. Ace is a medical doctor, and he will be looking at the medical side of the story because people say it's beyond the traditional pressure. There's also an age limit or an injury where you should marry. So, Come, what do you think about marriage? What should be the fundamental factors that determine marriage? And in your own opinion, we are not talking about society. So let's listen to you.
Okay. First, let me say thank you for having me on this podcast. I want to start on the very topic we're talking about, which is late marriage. Let me take it from there. And then I'm wondering where that term actually came from, if there's an outright definition of late marriage. Okay, but be that as it may, we want to say that late marriage is when an individual, a person who is up to a certain age, or who has gotten to a level of maturity in every facet of life, maybe economically, educationally, professionally, spiritually, mentally. That kind of a person, you've gotten to a matured stage, yet you are not married. That's what usually people want to consider as late marriage. But yes, so looking at it from my own angle, would you still call that late marriage per se? And what's the parameter with which you're judging that late marriage? Because if you have a parameter that you've pegged, maybe to say you want to finish your school, you want to do your masters, you want to do your PhD before you go ahead and get married, and maybe for one reason or the other you were not able to hit those targets, as in those time frames that you've put there, like I'm going to finish all of this program in the next 5 years and then I get married. Maybe for health reasons or financial reasons, you were not able to meet that 5 years time frame, and so you went beyond it. Would that still be considered as late marriage? For me, I don't think you should term it late. What you expected, the time frame that you wanted to get to, you could not get to it, or that thing you wanted to achieve, you could not get to it. So fine, by the time you get to it, if that's still your determination that not until I achieve this, I will not get married. So go ahead and achieve it. Why wanting to term it late marriage again? But of course, society will still call that, oh, maybe they're using age to want to judge it, and time is going, so that's late marriage. So for me, I want to say, follow the targets that you're giving yourself. If you have a target that you want to attain before you get married, please feel free to go ahead and satisfy yourself. And then when you talk about if there are, did you say purpose or
Yeah, what's the purpose of you have almost we'll come back to that.
okay?
Now you say that there's nothing for you, there shouldn't be anything like late marriage. The marriage should be determined by level of your maturity and when you have achieved your goal and when you have seen the right person. Okay, Dr. Issy, biologically, we know there's a time frame for a woman. So when will a medical doctor consider that, okay, for a woman, let's not talk about the technology now. Let's just talk about the normal groundwork for it. Okay, at this age and this age, women is more fertile, and well, so give us that background so that we'll be able to look at that.
Okay, so from for ladies from 35, fertility starts declining medically, and for men from 40. But of course, it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. But yeah, but averagely from 35 downwards, a woman's fertility starts declining. Then for men, from 40 downwards. But we also know that you could say 35-year-old lady who gets married and just starts having children immediately. You can find it a lady who gets married at 22, 23, 24, and maybe for the next 10, 15 years. So for me, there is no one cap fits all. I think when it comes to the marriage thing, to a large extent, it should be individualistic. What works for one might not work for the other. So that's how I say it.
So when we look at it medically, you just said that naturally, before we go into technology, because we now know that technology has changed a lot of things, then we can begin to say that by the time that your fertility begin to decline, then we can say that of a truth, maybe that is becoming too late. And that's why society put pressure on people to go and marry. Now, Kome, you said that you should focus on things you want to achieve. And we know that the purpose of marriage basically is for companionship and is supposed to be enjoyed, not to be forced into. You're going to be there alone. You shouldn't allow anybody. So, given the medical side of it, we will get to technology.
Yes.
And a lady, especially because we just found out that for a lady, by the time you're 35 going to 40, somehow it start declining naturally without the technology.
Yes.
should you still encourage a lady to continue beyond 35 if she has not achieved her thing?
Okay, so I would want to come in from this angle. What's actually driving the lady to get married? Because there are still some ladies that we find, and it's not actually procreation that is pushing them. Now, I think if people that's my own opinion. Is that the only thing that is pushing you to get married because you want to procreate? If that's it, there's also people who are procreating and then they're not getting married. So there should be other things that's actually making marriage interesting for you. So it's only when you have that procreation
Mindset.
yes mindset that, oh, I must be
That marriage is
married,
all
I
about
must be married so that I can have kids, That's when you now be conscious to say, oh, because medically they've pegged the age at 35. Sometimes some doctors even go ahead as much as saying 27. I've heard the doctor talk about 27 years, that when you get to 27, what are you waiting for, that it will begin to decline. And so you see there's a lot of pressure because you feel that I'm almost getting to that age, or I'm up to that age, or I'm more than that age. That means my chances are finished, I cannot give birth again. So the question is, what is actually pushing you into the marriage? If it's actually the mindset of childbearing, then of course you may want to look at other means to say, okay, why don't I think and begin to plan how I can settle down so that it can fall within the age for me to give birth, for me to procreate. But if that's not the major reason, there are other things that are of value to you beyond the children. There are other things that you feel you want to attain, maybe financially. There are so many lives that you want to also still affect, and there's a certain level of financial comfort you need to have so that you can get married and then fulfill those things, maybe in partnership with your spouse. And then I don't think that pressure should come into
To be there.
Yes.
So, Dr. Eze, now she said that we shouldn't allow the pressure of but creating the balance. What would you say? There's a pressure and there's a goal that individual has set for himself. And then there's this medical side of it that says that from this age to this age, you are most fertile. From this age or to this age, you are not fertile. Will you medically, and then given the fact that there's now breakthrough in medicine, and then people can actually bank their egg and postpone their whatever, should people still be under that pressure?
Well, so even when it comes to the pressure thing, it's also good to note that it's cultural. For example, in more advanced parts of the world, the way the pressure is on, it's not them. It's more in the less advanced parts of the world, like Africa. You know, your mom, your aunties. Exactly. They don't. For them, they are more about achieving your goals, your dreams, fulfilling your potential. So for me, I think at the end of the day, it's individualistic, because you might be able to procreate, and other parts of your lives are not attuned.
Exactly.
And what's the point of just procreating? And at the end of the day, the marriage disintegrates. So it should be holistic, emotionally, fertility wise, spiritually, financially. I think everything should be in harmony. That is what we now, because at the end of the day, marriage, procreation is a huge aspect of marriage, but it's not the entire aspect of marriage. So at the end of the day, what we want is for a marriage to be successful.
And for individual to be fulfilling it.
Exactly. So it's not all about procreation. So
minus procreation.
Okay.
If we take procreation out of marriage, especially from Africa, are we saying that the pressure will reduce? Let me get your thought.
To a large extent, I would say yes, because there is so much emphasis on this. So permit me to use the normal Nigerian pidgin English. Time they go.
Yeah.
Woman time they go. Which time you want they born? And then for the men too, when they flip it to the men, they say things like, time they go, you see they do fine boy. Which time you want they marry? Which time you go take born the children, make you come begin train them?
Or they tell you that you want to be using your passion to
train children. So you see that the spotlight is still on the childbearing thing. That's what they are using to peg to say, oh, go ahead and get married, go ahead and get married. But you see, like what Dr. Eze was also trying to say when he said it's supposed to be holistic, is the fact that, okay, how do you also bring in children? These children that they are talking about, someone cracked a joke with me one day and said, this same family or this same society that is saying, oh boy, time they go, sister, time they go, time they
They will
go.
not be
When
back.
you now give birth to the
They will
kids,
not contribute
they will not contribute money and buy you pampers.
anything.
They will not contribute money and buy you naan or any of the expensive baby food. But they told you that time is going, time is going. So if you also look at what Dr. Eze is saying, it's supposed to be holistic. You want to give birth, you want to procreate in marriage. Are you also checking how financially stable maybe you are? So you also have to consider all of those things. And then you want to also look at the maturity aspect, your mental stability. How matured are you in all of those areas? All of those things, do they add value to this marriage thing and procreation thing that we're talking about?
So we will. So what we're agreeing now, what we're looking at is that, okay, medical whatever factors, as much as important, nobody should be under pressure. Is that what we're agreeing, doctor?
Yes. I would say nobody should be under pressure because naturally, when you are under pressure, you are prone to making mistakes. When you are under pressure, things, even emotionally, things won't be well aligned, and that means you might get it. It's easier for you to get it wrong. So I would say yes. It's not good to
So how
be.
can we, as individual, break free from the pressure?
Okay, so
Because don't also forget you come from a family,
yes.
and there's high on you,
Okay.
and then there's stereotypical issues about you just chase money, particularly if it's a band. So how do you break free from cultural and societal pressure, knowing that marriage should be an individual thing and you should go into it when and only when you are ready?
Okay, so for me, one of the ways you can break out of this, whether call it peer pressure, call it societal pressure, one of the now before you even talk about wanting to break free from it, how do you even know that you're even coming under pressure, under societal pressure or peer pressure? There are some traces you begin to see
Like,
when you're not becoming too conscious of, you should do something like this. At this age, you should have done this. At this stage, I should have this. If I have finished school for more than 5 years, I should have been able to buy a plot of land, secure a good job, maybe in oil and gas, be able to so when you begin to peg it towards so many things that you should, then you know that you can see the fingers or traces of that pressure. So for me, I feel one of the ways you want to break out from it is ask yourself a personal question. Turn the gaze from the society, turn it to yourself. What are those goals? Because sometimes, too, let's also be honest, some of these societal gains that, oh, if you have finished school for more than 5 years, 7 years, or a decade, you should have had this you should have this in place, you should have this in place. I feel those are the pressures that people, and at the end of the day, depression starts coming in. Lack of self-esteem, self-worth begin to come in when you know that you're not able to meet these quote and unquote unattainable goals in the society. So what do you do instead to douse the pressure? Look to yourself. What are those personal goals that I have for myself? What are those things that I've said by this time I want to achieve that will give me some sense of fulfillment? And then look at it, look at your score sheet. Am I getting it? If you're getting it, fine. And then take it one step at a time. It's your life. Nobody's going to be in the marriage with you. So take it one step at a time. Be in the marriage that will make you happy. Be in a marriage that will make you feel fulfilled. And not enter because people are saying or society is saying time is going. Your mates are married. Your siblings are married. Your colleagues are married. Your classmates are married.
Well, Dr. Yusuf, we all remember this case of a lady that is a senior manager in a bank who committed suicide because a lady said, told her that she did not know what it means to have a family. Maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was in the news. Now she was determined to make something out of her life, but the pressure was getting. She was managing it, but it came to a time that she actually broke down, and she was living comfortable life. You understand what I mean? So how do we prepare people, either medically, emotionally, to be able to withstand all the pressure that might come Now that we understand that it's not only in marriage again, because we now have a gauge. After 5 years, you should have achieved this. At 30, you should have achieved this. How do we help people to understand that? See, focus on yourself. Don't allow the society to push you under unnecessary pressure. Because look at that case of that woman. She was, I'm not sure she's more than 10, 40 or 42. And then she committed suicide because a lady spoke to her and said, you don't even know what it means to raise a kid. So, and then she committed suicide. How do we prepare people?
Well, truth of the matter is that even these days, you see, especially well in more advanced parts of the world, still you see career ladies who say that I don't want to get married, or you see couples who will say, okay, we're going to get married, but we don't have children. And in such
But
cases,
that's not common here.
it's not. But in such
So let's look
cases,
at the context. How
fantastic.
do people
Yeah.
survive?
Well, I think it's still the same foundation, the same baseline. One, discover your uniqueness. Let know that everybody, yeah, just like 100 meters race, everybody is on their own track. You are not looking at the other person. You are just looking at your own track, trying to make your own finishing line. Then for parents, we also have to teach our children to be firm. As
Know
in,
what you want.
basically, okay. Classic example: when I got married, I know about all the pressure of procreation, and I don't like pressure in any way. So I told my parents that for the first 2 years, I want to enjoy my wife. When we are ready, I'll let you know. And over time, they know that okay, I'm not a frivolous person, and I abide by what I say. And nobody put any pressure on us. There was never a time my parents asked what I was going on, what. But when we now got ready, it didn't come as soon as we expected. And that was when they now said, I thought you guys just said 2 years. What's happening? But we're not under pressure. And that is also because why nobody also came in was because over time, they know that, okay, this guy doesn't like pressure. If you try to put pressure on him, it backfires. It might even make him withdraw from you. So we have to teach, we have to get to that place where we discover ourselves, know our own uniqueness, and try to be firm and know that everybody's race is different. I saw this stuff. Of course, we've always said slow and steady wins the race, but in the last few days there has been this stuff online where there was actually a race between a tortoise and a hare. Of course, a hare is way faster than a tortoise, but just like we read in the fables when we were growing up, the tortoise actually got there before the hare, because the hair was looking at other people, hearing people's applause, distractions. But the tortoise was just going at its own pace. I'm slow, but I'm steady, and it made it. So I believe that would help.
So with the issue of late marriage, if
Okay.
there's anything like it, with the issue of late marriage, I
Mm.
think that we should begin to do reorientation through our churches, through our societies, and let people know don't go before your time. That you need emotional stability, and that nobody should put anybody under pressure. So, how can we ensure that this message is passed across to the society? And then, because we already have a predetermined mind about certain age, how can we change this orientation that skills don't put people under unnecessary pressure?
Okay, so for me, I feel this narrative can also be changed from our families. Families need to, as in, when I mean families now, siblings, parents need to also encourage people. They are members of the family that want to get married. Encourage them one step at a time. Take your time. Be sure that you've answered all the questions in your heart about this marriage thing before you go in. That way, that awareness would actually, with time, it will change when the family is able to step in to tell people to take it one step at a time. From the churches too, it can also come from there. When these right messages as touching marriages are taught, you notice that people will know the right thing to look out for when it comes to marriage rather than pressure. So now when I say churches, the other side of the coin is also referring to Muslim brethren as well. So also still making people understand that take it easy, one step at a time. What exactly are you looking for? Look for it, be sure that you have it. So I guess with this, if this becomes a common message that goes wrong with time, we'll find out that this pressure thing will be doused.
So, if we say that we all have a role in this thing, but the fact remains that, particularly on the side of a woman, I think that the family has a role to be there for a lady who says, until when I'm ready. Because when you have a support, the pressure is reduced, the impact of the pressure is reduced. Are we sure that our parents are even ready to support a lady who says, I don't want to marry at this certain age? Even a man too. Sometimes a man say, I'm not married, I'm not ready for marriage at 40. They say, what are you still doing? At least you have a house, you have what you are eating, you have whatever. Is it possible that we begin at this level to, particularly family support is everything, because anybody that has a family support is stronger than when the batches is coming from both in and out. What will you say, doctor, to um, family of people who choose to say, I want to wait until a certain age. I'm not mature enough. You say, you don't have to mature until you start with it. When you start it, you grow, and you get there. That's what people say. Just grow into it. But when the thing starts, you're on your own. So how will family be supportive of people who made the choice that they are not going to get married now?
Well, for one, like you said, being there for them. Okay, assuming a lady who says that I want to get my PhD before I get married, and her parents are well-to-do. So some parents after the first degree, the person is on his or her own, but now you can help her because by helping her, and it's also psychological when you know that your parents or the people around you are behind you. So help her out. If you have to pay her school fees or whatever, then of course also by not talking, but yeah, because sometimes what we do is we compare. We have to get to that point where we stop comparing, because yeah, and even the comparison thing goes beyond marriage. Sometimes it's even led to siblings rivalry. Look at your brother. Your brother is not like this. Why are you like this? So and well, but the truth of the matter is that things are changing. As time goes on with industrialization and technology, a lot of things are changing. There are things that parents would not even like. For example, years back, when if your parents hears that you want to go into showbiz or something or football, everybody's how now, but things are beginning to get more relaxed, and I'm sure it's also going to at least these days it's difficult to see people who get married early 20s. Now it's a bit late 20s because people want to go to school. Even parents are proud now. Oh, my daughter has a PhD. My daughter has my daughter even has 3 masters. So things the story is changing.
The statistics are shown to everybody that people who are matured before they get married, they seem to have more stable home
Absolutely.
than those who enter it at very early age,
Mhm.
where the society wants us to enter.
Mhm.
What would be your thought about that? That maturity should be the focus, and age should not be the major thing, because it has been proven that people who are matured and who get to a certain age before they get married, they are more matured in terms of handling life's vicissitude within the marriage sector. Because no matter who you marry, there will be disagreement. Some at younger age, I'm going back to my mom, I'm going back to my daddy. It's also a age there. So should we begin to talk about maturity first before you think of age?
Okay, so maturity for me is key. And then,
And then why will you say, what do we describe as maturity?
okay, so let me take it from this angle. A lot of times we want to feel that when someone gets to an advanced age, that makes you matured. We've seen a lot of people who they're really advanced, they're close to 50, for example, and then the way they act,
You see,
sometimes you'll be wondering how the head of your department will be acting. And you're wondering that, sorry, Was it not last month that we did our HOD's 50th? You expect something better by virtue of the age, but the way the person is acting, the person is still acting like a child. And then you just see someone who is a copper that just got into the department and is handling things very well. Like you shout at the person, you expect that because the person is just a new graduate that just got recruited, a Gen Z, the person is supposed to just flip and answer back. And then the person is mature to say, oh, okay, sir, I didn't know that's what you're saying. Okay, I'll do it. Now that person is even displaying more maturity in handling a matter than that one who. So for me, I think as much as the age thing is also important, because yes, also looking at it from Nigerian legislations here, getting married under the age of 18 is not it's not legal. The legal age for marriage is 18
18
years.
and above.
Yes, 18 and above. Okay, so that is settled. But you now know that you are 18 or you are 19 doesn't also make you matured enough to run into marriage, because the law says you have of a marriageable age. So there has to be a balance.
Between the
You
two.
should be able to have this maturity displayed, where you be able to, and how do you see maturity displayed? Is in the way you handle things. So I okay, let me just stop it there so it doesn't look like I'm diving too much, but
No. So you have you can talk about it.
so that maturity thing is key, because I think every spouse would value someone who would not just want to react to an issue based on the surface. Like you just hear something and then you just flip. I just want
Just
to.
lay out.
Yes, but you want to. Maturity will make you sit down and say, okay, you said like this, like this. Okay, but could it be that it was because he was doing this, she was doing this, that was why this?
Happen.
That's maturity. But when there's no maturity, as it's coming like this with black shirts, you just flip and say, black shirt symbolizes evil. Why would you? You're not even looking at it that there are other meanings that black would also depict. That's maturity for me, and it's important.
So aside from maturity, finance is also a fact that we also look at.
Sure.
That today everybody is asking, what do you bring to the table? It's not only the man that is bringing something to the table now. No man wants a wife that is a liability. So should we also be soft on people who have not made money? The kind of money that they want to, but some people will tell you it's when you get married that, or it's when you get married that the money, and we don't even know it is the head of your wife that bring money to you. You know, we have that kind of wrong belief about it. It's when people get married, when it is when
They say
it
two
turns
are
around.
two are better than one because
Two
they
are
have a
better than
better
one.
reward for
You
their
now are
yeah.
able to manage. Can this also be a factor?
Yes, but to even add to maturity, I think another huge aspect of that is self-discovery. Because life is a journey. There are some things that might not be deal breakers for me at 21, but at 30, they are deal breakers for me. So when you have discovered yourself more, it also makes you know what you might, how to align the person you might want to move along with. Especially when it comes to marriage, the person might maybe what that you might get to a particular stage of self-discovery and find out that okay, this is the kind of person I want to be a husband to my kids or a wife to my kids. Then financial wise, of course, nobody's saying that you have to be Bill Gates. You have to get to the level
At
of Bill
least you must
Gates.
have a level of income.
Yeah, you must have a level of
All
income.
right. Let's just round this off. So the agreement now is, or what they're saying now is, despite the fact that there's a chronological age and there's a medical issues to age, particularly with women and even both sexes. I think what we're saying now is that aside from medical age and given the changes in medical thing, there's no age that is late. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Yes, because we still see people get married at 50. We see people who get married at 55. We get married. So it all depends. And that's why I say that it's individualistic. I have a friend who got married way late and he had a particular kind of marriage he always wanted to have.
And he achieved that.
And he achieved that. So if he had that, if he had done it when he was way younger, he might not have been able to, no, not even might, he wouldn't have been able to have that kind of wedding. So at the end of the day, it's all about you, what you want.
But from the side of a lady, will you advise that wait until when you want to do? We have the vice president of U.S. Kamala Harris got married at 50 or 51, and the man he got married to already have kids, so she became a stepmother, and she didn't care about kids. So you are saying that procreation should not be the only thing, that minus procreation, all things being equal, each sex should be allowed to get married at the right time.
Yes. Get married at the time that you feel you are ready.
Mm.
But because of there's medical advancement, and then because of on medical grounds as well, if you feel you have seen the person in your early age, the question I would ask is why the delay? If there are no other impediments, why the delay?
Mm.
If there are no other missing or lacking factors, why are you delaying? If the person fits everything, ticks all the boxes, you have actually gotten to the place where you are, and all of this was able to come in your early age. What's the delay? What's holding you? Go on. But where you know that you're still waiting for some things in your life, it hasn't come, and it's looking like a society that is defeating for you, that time is running out, and you feel deep down in your heart that, but I still haven't gotten it. If I rush in right now based on this pressure, I will not be happy. My question then to you will now be, why the hurry? Are you living your life for people? The focus ought to be yourself, self-actualization, self-fulfillment.
Thank you. Let's now round up. What would be your parting word, Dr. Ise, about, okay, for you, there should be no age that is called late. Is that what you're saying? How do you advise the new generation?
So most of the time, maybe apart from death, it's usually good to start things early, you know. So like Kome said, if all things being equal, the earlier the better, all things being equal.
Well, we know
Yeah.
that all things are never equal.
So when all things are never equal, like they say, just do you. Yes.
So because if all things be equal, but we know that all things are
So
never equal.
so just do
Just do
you.
you.
Do you. Yeah.
What will you say? What will be the final thought from your side that, okay, this is what my position about?
Okay, so let me take my closing position from that story you shared about the lady who committed suicide.
Yeah.
And my question is this: why give the society, or why give people so much power over you? After all, the life is yours. And when you want to account for that life, it's not the people that will account for your life for you. How you live it on earth is you that will account for your life. So my own is, yes, I'll close with this. If, like I said before, I'm still going to reiterate it. If it becomes very okay, then go for it. Young enough, it's even sweeter. Like I would say, even the medical doctor is here. You know, all your hormones are vibrating and everything. So when you're younger, it's sweeter. But if it doesn't come that way, would you kill yourself? No. Does it stop? Permit me to go back to the faith that I'm used to. Does it stop God from being God? No. If He answers you later on, take it, grab it, be excited, and move on.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Brother Yinka. And for people of faith, there's also that place of leading, you know, help.
Which is really hard. For people of faith, if you believe in any of the faith, whether Christian or Muslim, there's also part of leading.
Where you feel, you know, for example, for the Christian faith, we are sheep, we have a shepherd. And
where do we go?
Exactly.
So you should, like Yoruba will say, they will say that something is drumming for the fish that is dancing. Listen to the force that bring you here, that created you, which is better. So I think this is a conversation that we may need to repeat again. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Eze, for coming. Dr. Eze is a medical doctor and he works with one of these HMO. He's also a writer. He writes books and is also interested in movies. So in case you and this is thank you, Kome Ogudi, for coming, a lawyer, HR consultant, and we enjoy your conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, until next time, don't be under pressure. Know what you want, go for what you want. There's no age that is late now, given the medical breakthrough. But people also say again, maybe I should conclude with that now, so even when you bank the egg, there can also be medical error with the egg that you have banked. So make your choice. If I like the better, the later the merrier, if you want. So, thank you. See you.
Thank you, everyone.
Episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode. For inquiry, please send an email to info@difficultconversationafrica.org. Telephone 0809 591. Please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Difficult Conversation Africa. See you soon.